What it do, everybody, and welcome back to All Sports Media TV. I am your host, KJ the Great, and I want to talk some women's boxing right now. So, let's get right into it. Now, after the conclusion of a trilogy, it just, it was a good first fight, second fight, not so good, third fight, not so good at all. And the trilogy I'm talking about in the women's division between Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor. They made big money, but the last two fights didn't live up to the hype. I think the bar was set so high with that first fight. It was kind of hard for them to even come close to that. You know, it wasn't like the trilogy with the Wilder and Fury, where the bar was set really high in the first fight. Although many people believe Fury won all three fights, that's fine, but we can all kind of agree that the bar was set pretty high in that first fight. The second fight was what many people seen as a shocker, as Fury went on the hunt and eventually got the stoppage. And then the third fight was amazing. You seen 5 knockdowns in the fight. It was heavyweight boxing at its finest. Two warriors slugging it out, trying to send the other person out on their shield, and that's exactly what happened. But I want to talk about this potential trilogy, and that is between Katie Taylor and Chantelle Cameron. Katie Taylor is the current undisputed super lightweight champion, 140 pounds. She picked up those straps after she suffered the first loss of her career by majority decision to Chantelle Cameron in her own backyard. A lot of people were saying, in the first fight that should have probably been a unanimous decision. In my opinion, I thought it was a unanimous decision because Chantelle Cameron just seemed a little bit too big and too strong at that time for Katie Taylor. But nonetheless, it went to a majority decision. Now, the second fight, we can argue more down the lines of a draw. In my opinion, I was leaning more towards a draw in that fight. I thought Katie Taylor didn't do enough to win, but not enough to lose. And I also thought Chantelle Cameron was in the same boat. Maybe she was just kind of, I don't know what was going on with her in that fight. Then the fights with Amanda Serrano and everything else picked back up and all of that. And we have been wanting to see that trilogy. I've personally wanted to see that trilogy, and I want to see it on neutral grounds. Not in Chantelle Cameron's backyard, not in Katie Taylor's backyard. I want to see it on neutral grounds. Why? Because I want to see it just play out, as some people would say, fairly. Recently, the WBC made Chantelle Cameron the mandatory for the 140 strap that Katie Taylor currently has. Although she's been in the gym training, she was granted 2 extensions prior to this third extension. And in the meantime of the fights that Katie Taylor had, Chantelle Cameron had signed with MVP Promotions and has pretty much spent the last 2 years of her career working her way back into this position. So with that being said, I believe that Katie Taylor needs to run that back for this trilogy, because this trilogy, in my opinion, for boxing and women's boxing's sake, would be better than the Amanda Serrano Katie Taylor trilogy. There's more controversy in those 2 fights, and if you look at the last 2 fights of the Amanda Serrano Katie Taylor trilogy, the only controversy came in the second fight, in my opinion. Like I said, I thought that fight I was there, and it was kind of slow, rough, rugged. Katie Taylor was kind of leaning with her head, but she still got outlanded by Katie Taylor. Well, it was close. I think Amanda Serrano outlated her. I'm sorry. Excuse me on that. But nonetheless, it just wasn't a lot of controversy around the entire trilogy. Now, the third fight wasn't any controversy around it, in my opinion. A lot of people said it was. I just thought Katie Taylor did more than enough to win. Amanda Serrano was punching the air and all of that. But now you talk about the first two fights with Katie Taylor and Chantelle Cameron. There's so much controversy. You can argue Chantelle Cameron won both fights. You can argue Katie Taylor won both fights. Some people will, some people won't. I won't. I will argue a draw in the second fight, and I would also say that she lost by a wide margin in the first fight, as I previously said. This third fight could potentially clear that up whichever way it goes, whether she wins or loses. I think this should happen. I think this will be big for women's boxing. It won't be big for like namesake or them making, records amount of money or any of that. But sometimes, in the sport of boxing, legacy is on the line. And we can see a lot of people these days just don't care about legacy, i.e. Gervonta Tank Davis. That's a prime example. He don't care about legacy. He cares about the bag, and he's ready to retire. Is that the same case with Katie Taylor? We'll have to wait and see. Chantelle Cameron, we can tell she cares about her legacy, and she's making a decent amount of money now that she's with MVP Promotions. So I want to see how this plays out, y'all. Let me know in the comments, do you think this fight should happen, or what should Katie Taylor do next? Let me know in the comments. Peace.